romantic, sexual love.
No, I don't.
For her.
No, that is not. Okay.
Hello and welcome back to A Stark Contrast, where we discuss the differences and similarities between Marvel Comics and their MCU counterparts. And we're your hosts, Geoffrey
and Dai.
Hello, and welcome back, everybody.
Hello, welcome back, Jeff.
Yes.
I just saw Jeff a week ago.
Yes.
In fact.
Oh yeah, that was a week ago.
Because we're actually pulling overtime for this particular episode as both of us are traveling. Which I told Jeff this before we started recording. I forgot I was traveling, but Jeff's got a big trip ahead of him, so we're gonna get this show on the road and record. And because you know what, y'all, we still have not missed a drop date.
I know.
So. Very proud. Very proud.
Yeah, as of this episode coming out, I will be in Japan. And you will be in
Seattle.
What we're talking about now, and something will come out in like the week leading up to and the week after.
So if that is in fact the case, we will talk about anything that dropped this past week on our next episode.
Yeah, if that is the case, oh my gosh, I can't believe that came out.
Crazy.
That was crazy.
Oh my God, we've been waiting for so long.
I can't believe the Spider-Man trailer dropped.
I know. We might have to do an emergency APB, right? This is our reaction. But yeah, so we'll come back with all the new stuff if it happens. Hopefully it'll stay quiet until our next recording. Mm-hmm. But speaking of news, there actually isn't very much even now. There was one big announcement, however. Insomniac Games finally revealed the release date for their Wolverine game. Long anticipated Wolverine game, for the record.
Finally.
Because, again, I got to go to that Insomniac Games,
yes.
Welcome Day or whatever.
Yeah.
Many, many moons ago. I think it was last April. And they had this huge splash of Logan's back while he's at the bar from the game. And everyone that was there was like,
Are they gonna
tell us? Nothing. And nothing had been said, even up to this very month, until yesterday. So the game is officially releasing on September 15th, 2026. So not even next year. It's gonna be this year, which is great news.
My PS5 is looking a little neglected. So, yes.
So it'll be very fun to see, what finally happens and what the story is with this one, especially because the other game.
Yes. Oh, Marvel. Captain America.
Yes.
With Black Panther. Civil War. No.
The Rise of Hydra.
The Rise of Hydra.
Yeah, and so Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra still hasn't gotten a release date, and people are actually kind of thinking, it might be shelved at this point, which is interesting. I'm not sure why. I guess just because the nature of the gaming industry right now is so
bad.
Yeah,
even for AAA companies, it's so bad.
Right. And so with all this news of PlayStation pulling plugs on full-on studios,
I mean
Xbox as well,
Microsoft,
it's kind of dark right now, but thankfully, Insomniac is like, no, game is still coming. So September 15th, we will have a brand new Wolverine game. And who knows what kind of news is going to come
I'm ready for the
after
violence.
Yeah, because there's the blood option too, which is going to be kind of wild. Need that. Yeah, so very curious who's all going to be in it, the lore, all that good stuff. I'm really ready. But yeah, that's all the news that we have.
Literally have not seen anything else.
Nothing else, which is, unfortunate, but again, we'll see by the next episode.
Yes.
So all that said, or all that little said, let's dive into this episode's character study. But of course, just a reminder, we are not experts and we don't claim to be. We're just a couple of nerds nerding out. And in this episode, we're nerding out about Mantis.
Mantis, look out!
Never gets old. And so related episodes for this character essentially all of our Guardians of the Galaxy episodes thus far, including the core modern team of Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket, and Groot. Mantis is actually the first of the extended characters we've covered. We haven't covered any of the outliers.
Yeah.
So Nebula and all that we still haven't gone through, but slowly but surely we will make our way through. So for Mantis in particular, created by Steve Englehart and Don Heck, whose first appearance was in The Avengers 112, June 1973.
Ooh.
So curveball, 70s.
I know.
So here's the cover. It is a red cover featuring
gosh.
the Lion God.
Oh.
And it's Scarlet Witch who's saying, "Prepare to meet your doom, mortals." Oh, wait, no, it's actually Lion God. Sorry. "Prepare to meet your doom, mortals, for the Lion God lives." And it also says, also in this ish, "The end of an Avenger."
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh, they're teasing a death? Crazy.
Not a death. Somebody leaves. Yeah.
Aw.
So one of this core team leaves, which includes Scarlet Witch, Black Panther, Iron Man, Thor, Vision, and Black Widow.
Wow. It's a
Yeah.
squad.
Yeah, it's a squad.
1973.
1973. Take a crack.
See, it'll be like it'll be like an early 60s one. I'll be like, ooh, 10. And you'll be like, nope, it's 12. And I'll be like, what? Okay. And it'll be like 68, like in less than a decade. I'll be like, oh, 12. Nope, it's 15. I'm like, what?
So now you're looking at 73.
I am, dude, honestly, I want to say 15, but it's feeling like a quarter.
Oof. No.
It's 15.
Nope.
12?
Nope.
More?
20.
Brother.
20.
2 dimes?
2 dimes. Or if you gave a quarter, you get a nickel back.
This is stupid.
Yeah, it's funny enough. This was a full 20 cents by this time, which is, saying again, inflation. The issue title itself is "The Lion God Lives," which is set on the cover as well. You know, it's funny enough, I could not find any graded copies for sale on Shortbox. That's kind of rare, all things considered. But it does exist on eBay, of course. And so the highest graded I found on eBay was a CGC 9.4 with a Stanley signature up for $2,125. And then the lowest graded is a CGC 1.8. What an odd number for $139. And so just before we started recording, I let Jeff see a few of the graded comics I have, and the difference jump from a 9.8 to a 9.2, a 9.0, all the way down to 6.5. Yeah, it is a kind of fascinating process, how they do it. And you can always look at cgc.com to find out more about all of the comics and the grading scale. When it comes to this book in particular, if you wanted to get it raw and not graded at all, looking at about $50 to $75, which isn't too bad.
That's not bad.
And it depends on the quality, of course, and how much somebody thinks they have. But yeah, not too shabby for our little girl Mantis here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, first exposure to this character.
Mantis. Yeah, I mean, has to be Palm.
Palm, yeah.
Has to be.
Yeah, almost very similar for me. It was definitely like the more modern Guardians books.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I started to get into the lore, jumping from Spider-Man, X-Men to Spider-Man, and then into the Galactic comics. So I became familiar with her through that before her before her origin stories. So it was interesting to kind of read these modern books and then jump back and then get familiar with the movie version and then realize again, oh yeah, she is very different in the comics.
Okay.
Which we'll talk about shortly. As for her bio in our mini book, real name unknown, at least in this book, which is stands true. Yeah, it stands true even now to this day. Height 5'6", weight 115. And her bio reads as an orphan raised by pacifist Kree aliens known as the Priests of Pama. Mantis used her martial arts skills and emotion manipulating powers to join the Avengers before heading off into space, where Mantis's adventures led to her present association with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. And I did want to note, like in her power grid, her key powers in the power grid are speed and durability. So she's super, super duper fast, and she's kind of unstoppable in a weird way, which is interesting Because when you think of Mantis, you think of the MCU version, who's a little more, I don't know, soft around the edges than you might expect her comic book version to be.
Quirky, endearing.
Yeah, exactly. She's super quirky and endearing, but we'll get to all of her rougher, tougher aspects pretty shortly. So when it comes to Mantis in the comics, it did say in the book, we don't know her real first name, but we can assume her last name is Brant due to her parental lineage. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later. But as for her first appearance itself, so again, it's like all these characters' first appearances, they don't really come in until mid-book. So the issue itself begins with this insane activity because Natasha Romanoff has returned to the Avengers. And it's so funny because you kind of get the idea at this point, Natasha, she's still considered a newbie Avenger.
Okay.
She's probably in her early mid-20s. And she returns and she calls herself homeless because she was roaming San Francisco with Daredevil. They were dating at the time. Yeah. So to your point from the last episode, you mentioned like West Coast Avengers. Yeah, actually Daredevil and Black Widow were West Coast at one point. So she was in San Francisco with Daredevil, and this is shortly after she had a little scuffle with Hawkeye because, you know, she and Hawkeye have been a thing for a long time. It even kind of, not predates, but it goes in correlation with her love romance with Bucky Barnes. So Hawkeye is omnipresent. But anyway, she's trying to run away from both Daredevil and Hawkeye at this point. Comes back to the Avengers. And the main theme of the issue concerns Black Panther and this lion god that we talked about earlier. And so T'Challa's nation is essentially telling him, come back to Africa. We need you here. Because he's been in New York assisting the Avengers for all this time. And so unease is starting to happen. Tension is growing. And then Mantis enters the picture. And so they cut to the scene. It's like a beautiful moonlit beach. And she's walking with a shadowy figure. And this discussion of Hawkeye not being part of the Avengers comes to play and how he left. And so the man speaking with Mantis is like, we have an opportunity to join the Avengers now because they have room for more members. And Mantis being actually the similar and familiar, like, oh, we can join the Avengers. Like she's all for it because she thinks it's a great idea. It's so interesting to me because like in the last few episodes we've even talked about these characters. It seems like there's a common denominator of this random character that comes in and they're like, I'm gonna join the Avengers.
Yeah.
And they just go to the door and go,
can I
want to join the Avengers. And it's the same thing for Mantis.
Dude.
Yeah. And so this like idea.
I wish it was that easy.
Yeah, the guy's like, hey, you want to join? And she's like, I'm all for it. And then they like go and decide to embark on this journey to join the team. And so the issue at large focuses on the battle against Lion God and his mystical powers, ensuing in a battle that they naturally win. But in the end, Widow decides to abandon the team. So she opened the issue being like, I'm back. I can't wait to be a part of the team again. They defeat the guy, and then she's like, I've changed my mind.
I'm out.
I need to go find Daredevil.
Sure.
So she goes and leaves for San Francisco to rejoin with Matt.
My gosh.
Yeah, she's deep in it. She is
Heard.
down bad.
Heard.
And then the issue ends. So that little flicker is all we got of Mantis. There was no continuation at that particular point. But the story does continue in the next issue, where once again, Mantis and her mysterious cohort are still in pursuit of joining the team, further clarifying the motive. So now they're establishing the storyline. Now the idea is they need us as much as we need them. So you're like, okay, so it's slowly building. Okay, are they antagonists? Are they protagonists? What's happening here? But that leaves yet another cliffhanger. And so it isn't until the next issue, Avengers 114, that we finally see the duo take action. And at last, Mantis's companion is revealed to be Jacques Duquesne, aka the swordsman.
Yeah.
I had to say it that way because I was like, I think if I say it the way I said it in the Hawkeye episodes, you were going to pick up on it.
Jacques Duquesne.
Jacques Duquesne. And so
Wow.
here is the cover of 114, and this mustached gentleman
Oh my God.
is the swordsman.
I thought that was Galactus.
I know, but again with the purple, right?
Yeah.
Again with the purple and the green. So they're complementary, and then they're fighting the Avengers.
And she's
so
half naked.
she's
sure.
half naked. That is the
Sure.
first. That's the comic book version, right? And it is very interesting because we're going to talk about her appearance, but yeah, she's very.
Her waist is snatched.
Yeah, exactly. So 70s again. This is
I
the
get it.
70s, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and so that's the point in which we see, okay, these two are in it together. But what a interesting combination. Because if you recall, Jacques Ducan was also the man who trained Hawkeye to be as good at what he does as he is. So he's known Clint for as long as he, from way back in the circus days. And so for the third time in a row, it isn't until nearly halfway through the issue that Mantis finally leaps into frame, and this time to brawl against this chauvinistic construction worker who dared laid his hands on Wanda
How
after
dare
she
he?
attempted to clear her head as a civilian. So she's going through it. She wanted to clear her mind, and so she dressed down. She got out of her Scarlet Witch uniform, and she goes to walk the street.
Mm-hmm.
She's walking around, easing her mind. And this construction worker was like, oh, sassing her and, calling her names, whatever. I took the screenshot for you, Jeff. Because this is Wanda, and she's like, you stinking human pig! And, uses her powers against him. However, this man...
Uh-huh.
He tumbles into a hot dog cart.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, she hexed me. Did you hear? She called me human like it was a dirty word. You asked for this, witch. He backhands the hell out of Scarlet Witch.
No.
And he's like, I'm the human to give it to you. And then here comes Mantis. She comes in flying with her acrobatic martial arts skills and
Wow.
essentially puts this guy down. Puts him down completely.
Hell yeah.
And so after scrapping, Mantis escorts Wanda home, which plays into her plan, right? Because the whole plan was like, let's join the Avengers. And so Mantis is just like, let me walk you home so you're safe. And it's a little manipulative, but at the same time, she is somewhat genuine in her actions. And so Mantis escorts Wanda home and surprises the Avengers with Swordsman, who has essentially been a recurring nuisance since issue 19. So, again, he first appeared that early. This is now issue 114.
Oh my gosh.
So he has been in and out of their lives. He joined the team, left the team, kind of an antagonist, but still came back, and they were like, oh, what are you doing back here? And so despite their rocky past, the Avengers ultimately agree to not only let Swordsman rejoin the team, but Mantis as well, though she makes it clear it's not the membership that matters to her, but instead remaining with her man. This is so funny because the jargon in the 70s. She's like, I gotta be here with my man. And she just calls him my man all the time. Yeah, she says, my man. And
My man.
Can you imagine it in the little Mantis voice? My man.
Ha.
And so, unfortunately for the Avengers, the duo came with exaggerated ulterior motives. Mantis resummoning the Lion God that the team had just encountered. So he goes away, he's banished from the mystical powers, but using her mystical powers brings him back into the fray. And then it all ended up being a ruse to take the Lion God down and then solidify their place among the Avengers. So it's kind of like what we just talked about in our last episode with Simon Williams. How he was conspiring with Zemo and being like, yeah, we'll get the Avengers. Let me join as an undercover agent and then get in good with them and then they'll let me join. Same thing just happens here with Mantis and Jacques Ducan.
Jacques Ducan.
Jacques Ducan. And so they take down the Lion God. And the Avengers are like, thanks for helping us. And then Mantis is so grateful that she begins giving kisses to the Avengers, including Iron Man. And she's like, You too. Yeah, and she thanks them all for she's super adorable and sweet.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, you're so endearing, you're so sweet. She's a great addition to the team, right?
Yeah.
And then little do they realize that there's actually quite more to this character than they realize. And so this hardly covers her origin, but we're gonna get to that again further as the show goes on. So on the flip side of things, we have Mantis, portrayed by Pom Klementif, first seen in 2017's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, last seen in 2024's Guardians Volume 3, both directed by Sir James Gunn. Yeah, so the characterization in the MCU is best explained by Mantis herself, where she says, do you want to take a crack at this? At her voice?
No. Oh, God. Oh.
Do you want to do it or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, you got it.
And Pom is so interesting because she is obviously of French descent.
Yes.
And so she's got a bit of an accent, but I think she takes on another sort of accent. There's something else she adds to Mantis's voice.
Yes.
That is very interesting, makes her very unique.
Do we know the planet she's from?
Mantis? No, they never actually clarify. They just said from her home planet.
Okay.
Yeah. So she says in Volume 2, when she's explaining, Ego found me in my larva state, orphaned on my home world. He raised me by hand and kept me as his own.
That was pretty good. I mean, Dai, for what it's worth, you're pretty much Mantis in the game.
Confirmed by James Gunn. Confirmed by James Gunn, more or less. 'Cause I have a screenshot. I was going to bring it up later, but that is one of my shining moments. If you have not played Guardians of the Galaxy, the game, guys, play the game.
We will be talking about it in other media later in the episode.
They stole my face without asking, but I tweeted about it, and I said I might never get into a Guardians movie, but I'm flattered they used my face for the game. James Gunn liked that. I was like, confirmed.
Official.
Love it. And so she accompanied Ego in the MCU during his journey to not so secretly overtake the cosmos, blanketing planets and galaxies like in himself. So interestingly enough, that is kind of the similar thing that they have in common, is that she's working with someone else to get in good with the team. So this team in the MCU just happens to be the Guardians. And so they're playing nice, and she's there to like help and advocate, and she's the better of the half, but the person she's with has not so great motives behind it all. And throughout Volume 2, it's clear to us that Mantis was wedged between a rock and a hard place, and she was ultimately put to the test when she spent more and more time with the Guardians. And you kind of see it. That's kind of what I loved about Pom in the film, is that the worry face that she does.
Yeah.
Where she's just like, oh, and her big buggy eyes.
I know.
Yeah, very expressive, and you could see that she was in conflict with herself and her morale and all that stuff. Especially when she spoke with Drax, and she was very honest about things with Drax. But we'll talk about that, obviously, along the way. And so, yeah, that's simply said, she's had a lot of growth in what little she's been in. But do you have anything in particular that you like about this character, or any favorite moments, or anything like that?
Moments. It's definitely in Guardians 2, Volume 2. You feel love. That's a favorite moment.
She is so, I have to say, this is a weird, like, just a cinephile thing to say of me, is that she's so gorgeous in that particular frame.
Yeah.
Where she says that you're just like, oh, you're so endearing. And the way she leans in, and the angle that they got her at, and the way that love comes off of her lips, you're just like, oh my gosh,
you feel
so
love for her.
That's what she's great at. She is great at turning.
She just told you her deepest, darkest secrets. You must be so embarrassed.
Exactly. And then in conjunction with Dave Bautista. Epic.
Oh, they're
Epic.
honestly
they're
like
so good.
underrated duo.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. All the way through the end, for that matter. You know, they were the stars of the holiday special, for that exact reason, because their chemistry is so off the charts. But yeah, I absolutely loved Mantis in the MCU, and you know, it was interesting because I remember when she first got casted and the dialogue around her from people who knew her comic book origins and the way she looked in the comics, and so people were like strangely judgmental of why she wasn't kind of naked like in the comics, right? But I think, again, like many of these MCU adaptations go, they did a great job of bringing in a version of the character that fit that world.
Yeah.
Maybe she's not the same in a lot of ways, but they adopted great attributes of her for live action. And so when it comes to Mantis's aesthetic, we have a comic book comparison on our doc. You can see that, as Geoffrey noted, she's much more clothed in the MCU, much more conservative with her attire. She doesn't have as much skin showing, whereas in the comics, yeah, she's wearing a lot of skin.
Looks like oh my god, what is that dark-haired Amazonian cartoon character? Xena, I think,
Warrior Princess?
Yes, I think that's
kind of. Yeah, I see it. I definitely see the vision there. And it's the hair and she has bangs in the comics.
Yes.
And a very notable attribute, the difference between them two in particular, is that comic book Mantis does not have antennae.
Yeah.
So you see these wisps coming from her hair, but it's hair. It's not actual antennas coming out of her forehead like in the MCU, where they've really leaned into the bug insect attributes.
Yes.
Even down to her attire, which is, that concept in itself is the same as the MCU, but in live action, they've really kind of pushed it even further that she's really from some bug planet in the galaxy. And so the only time Mantis's attire really changed in the MCU was during Thor Love and Thunder, where she had a little different outfit. I think it was her best outfit, to be perfectly honest. But they, you only see it for a total of 2 minutes at most. But they kind of gave her more comic-like attributes there, where she had like a jewel in the middle of her forehead, and her hair is more green, and it was really cool. I liked it a lot. But in the comic, yeah, she wears this green and yellow outfit for a lot of her time in the earlier stages. And it isn't until the Guardians run that she adopts that blue and red outfit and something kind of resembling her MCU outfit as well. But when it comes to the costumes themselves, Judiana Makovsky is to thank for the sensational costume design in Guardians Volume 2. So Judiana's Marvel credits now include, this is quite an accomplishment, by the way, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and X-Men The Last Stand, in addition to Volume 2. She's done all of those movies.
Whoa.
And most recently, James Gunn's Superman.
Whoa.
So if you liked any of those costumes, Judiana Makovsky is why.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a powerhouse. And then Maya C. Rubio took on the Guardians costumes in Thor Love and Thunder. So that's kind of why it looks different. But I mean, for the most part, both of these ladies are rock stars. They're so good at their craft. It's incredible. So powers and paraphernalia. Jeff, I don't have a long list for you this time. Be glad, because when it comes to the comics, Mantis is pretty, it's in a nutshell. Her powers fit in a nutshell. And so telepathy, inclusive of communication and mental resistance, as well as empathy, astral projection, plant manipulation, fire generation, which is pyrokinetic energy, force fields, precognition, superhuman durability, regenerative healing, and detection cloaking. And it's also worth mentioning, comic book Mantis is a very skilled martial artist and combatant. And so that's what I was showing you earlier when she's whooping this dude's butt.
I love how every hero has superhuman durability and healing.
They really do, though, right? It's a term, it's like a phrase used so loosely, but it does vary between, she's not the same make and model as Wonder Man, or let alone Silver Surfer, right?
Yeah.
But of her caliber, again, her power grid, speed was fast, was one of her top ones. And so this is...
She's out here. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a display of her speed. It's in this panel where her movements are deceptively smooth and graceful in a way only precision can induce, as her arms flash forward expertly. Again, she puts down this construction worker like nothing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Wanda was even like, no, he's too strong. And it's like, are you
good? Are you good? Are we sure?
Are you the Scarlet Witch?
I'm good.
Yeah. And so, Mantis is incredibly skilled in martial arts. Whereas in the MCU, She has hybrid physiology due to her parents, and this has empowered her with superhuman abilities, including strength, durability, agility, and stamina, as well as empathic powers, emotional, and cognitive manipulation. So that's exactly like what you see is what you get with Mantis in the movies. Empathy. You feel love.
You feel love.
Yeah, so pretty simple compared to her comic book version because, again, telepathy and fire generation is like crazy stuff. But more will make sense as we go along here. So for family, friends, and affiliations, we're starting up top with her parents, Gustav Brandt and Lua Nguyen. Did you see that coming?
No.
So it isn't until Avengers 123 that we learn more about Mantis's actual backstory with Vengeance in Vietnam, or an origin story for Mantis. Origin for Mantis. So they open with a continuing story from the previous issue where the Avengers were fighting a crew by the name of the Zodiac. 12 members. Oh my God.
My God.
It's one for every zodiac sign. And I can't help but wonder if that was indeed inspired by the Zodiac Killer. Yeah. Because you know how these guys were. They're like, ooh.
They gotta pull inspiration from somewhere.
Right, exactly. I was like, oh, okay.
What the hell?
And so Libra revealed himself to be Mantis's father, Gustav, after abandoning their adversaries. So he's part of this group. He decides, I'm not going to be part of that anymore. And he's funny because he's Libra, right? So Libra is typically shown as the scales, right?
Yes.
So homeboy is walking around with a blindfold on. He's got a blindfold on, like, and you know, he judges the scales and the imbalances or whatever. And so within the issue, Gustav details his past. He was a mercenary soldier with the French forces in Vietnam. Mind you, this issue was published in 1974, a clear year before the real Vietnam War had formally concluded. So once again, art was imitating life, and they're like, oh, the Vietnam War is happening. Let's conjure up a Vietnamese character.
Jeez.
And her father will be of a soldier of the Vietnam War. So that's what they've done here. And so in the flashback, Gustav then meets Lua, the woman who he'd marry just 2 months later in Saigon, only to be met with a familial conflict. Lua's brother not only disapproved of their marriage, but he was also king of the Saigon underworld, known as Monsieur Cruel, who coincidentally Swordsman worked for when he was a criminal in Vietnam. So I don't know if you are familiar with the musical Miss Saigon. This is basically the plot.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's about an American GI who goes to Vietnam to fight the war, falls in love with a Vietnamese lady in Saigon. She gets pregnant, and just everything goes to, And so in pursuit of the couple, Cruel's men attack, and then Lua dies in the crossfire. So by this point, Mantis, or whatever they had named her, has been born, and Gustav takes the newborn and flees into the jungle despite being blinded during the confrontation. So what had happened is like they must have used guns and blasts, and an explosion just ricocheted, maybe fragments got into his eyes and blinded him. And so this is the actual reason why he's walking around with a blindfold, because he's blind, he can't see. And so, fun fact, both Mantis's mother and Moondragon's parents. So, do you know who the Moondragon is? I don't think we've covered her very
I don't think
much.
I feel like that we've said that name in passing.
Yeah, so Drax, who is Arthur Douglas, who was Arthur Douglas on Earth,
Okay.
married Ovette, aka Yvette, and Moondragon is their daughter. And so Mantis's mother and Drax and his wife died on the same day in the same year.
Oh my gosh.
So something was in the universe at that point. So
Yeah.
they died on December 31st, 1953 in comic continuity.
Wow.
Yeah, very interesting. There's a little more to it. Mantis and Moondragon kind of bond over the fact that they had these kind of shared experiences as children with their parents, but we're not going to talk about all of that. But it is very interesting, very coincidental in that way, because they also both become like galactic characters, which is really interesting. And so Gustav then found a temple deep in the jungle occupied by these priests of Pama, individuals educated in ways of utilizing senses and finding enlightenment, all of which they taught a growing mantis. So they're monks. They're like monks.
Okay.
And so they're teaching her the ways of the martial arts, of channeling different senses and powers and all this stuff. And so due to Gustav being a soldier, the priests didn't want him to have anything to do with her. So they kind of isolated her. They kept her away from him and vice versa. And eventually he gave up and left. He just left. He's like, okay, my daughter is being taken care of. My wife is dead. I'm just going to go live my life. So he leaves. It's later revealed that the priests were actually a sect of the Kree that took residence on Earth, and they believed Mantis would one day become the celestial Madonna, the first celestial to become pregnant and deliver a baby, although the process inevitably destroyed her as she gave birth in the sun. And due to this belief, they imbued Mantis with abilities intended to help her become this prophetic celestial.
Wow.
So it got deep. It was one thing, and then it takes a hard left, and it's like, actually, she might be a god. And so that's what happens. And that wasn't necessarily the end of the flashback, but the story as far as her origin and the who's and whys is starting to come together. So in the MCU, we do not have counterparts for Gustav and Lua, though the actress Jennifer Sharp confirmed she played Mantis's mother. And we'll talk about that later in the show as well. But you might have seen it in the behind the scenes pictures from Guardians Volume 2. There's a picture of a woman looking like Mantis in the arms of Kurt Russell. And people are like, is that Mantis's mom? And yes, it is, but not quite the same. And as for other affiliations for Mantis, who other than the Avengers, of course, considering that's where she had her origin point. And in addition to what we've already talked about, it simply said that Mantis's ambition for joining the Avengers was completely fueled by the swordsman and wanting to remain by his side, all while providing her skills for good in combat with the rest of the team. And so there was always something sort of cosmic about her, and it's only natural that she would make her eventual segue into the cosmic corner of the universe. While on the MCU, her crossover with the Avengers is pretty much limited. It is quite literally just Infinity War and Endgame. She did have some choice interactions with a few of the members, as well as a sick team up with the Women of Marvel in a defining moment of the film. But yeah, they also had a very brief run of interactions in Thor, Love and Thunder, but that's about it. Like, otherwise, she's almost always with the Guardians of the Galaxy and the cosmic characters. But one of my favorite interactions that she had with the Avengers in the MCU is the Spider-Man one, where he's like, please don't put your eggs in me. Please don't put your eggs in me. Yeah. One of the funniest things, and she's actually kind of lethal by that point, too. So she's kind of scary. Mantis is kind of scary when she's mad. And then, of course, like I mentioned, she eventually made her way to the Guardians of the Galaxy, which in the comics wasn't until 2008. And she became a regular. It was primarily after the Annihilation Conquest storyline, which involves Phyla Vel as Quasar. And so Phyla Vel we were introduced to in the Guardians Volume 3. She's a little girl with the silver hair. That storyline also included Silver Surfer, Galactus, both Kree and Nova Corps, as well as Annihilus, an interdimensional conqueror from the negative zone. So these are all like kind of key phrases that if you know the negative zone, we've talked about it a couple of times, not too deep.
Very vague, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, these are all key phrases in the world of comics. And while her position on the Guardians of the Galaxy is generally that of support, she's kind of like a counselor for them. Tonally, Mantis in the comics has always been more serious than the one that we see in the MCU, and co-creator Steve Englehart notably quoted criticizing the live-action version as not Mantis. He straight up was like, that's not Mantis, which is like, ooh, that's kind of harsh, especially if you're the actor that is portraying this character and you're like, I hope I make them proud. And the creator's like straight up like, no, that's not what I created. But he did, however, admit he still enjoyed the film. He just wishes that filmmakers kept more of the essence that made some of the characters who they are in canon. So I'm curious what he means by that. I think it's just he wanted to see her actually be like part human, maybe. I don't know. And the whole Vietnam story, perhaps. Or just her her fighting skills, I think.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't really do much until volume 3, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she's not really in action until, well, Infinity War and Endgame, really. But even then,
Yeah. Yeah.
she doesn't actually like go in and fight and be scary until volume 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's more or less why he wanted to see more of his version. But of course, on the MCU side, we have my favorite team, Guardians of the Galaxy, primarily Gamora, Drax, Rocket, Groot, and Nebula. We're going to talk about Star-Lord in a minute. I didn't forget him, so don't worry about it. As mentioned above, Mantis came to know the Guardians all due to Ego's mission to find Peter Quill, introduced as an empath whose seemingly sole purpose was to help Ego sleep and keep him at ease. I just thought she was so interesting from the get-go, because it was one of those things where even in teasers, she doesn't say anything. She's just this cute little bug-eyed girl next to Kurt Russell's character, who seems like, oh, you can't trust that guy. And yeah, she seemed pretty mild and tame overall. And, after overcoming Ego, Mantis continued her journey with the Guardians, leading into the holiday special and well into Volume 3, where she'd become a member of the team who'd grown into her own, a bit more forward and lethal than she previously was portrayed. Like when she kicked the Orgo Sentry's asses in that one scene in Volume 3.
Yes.
She goes ballistic. And yeah, I think that's definitely a callback to her comic book version, as comical as it was. And despite it all, Mantis still seemed most connected with Drax, especially due to their bonding in Volume 2, where Drax likened her to his daughter Kamaria, ensuring his protectiveness over Mantis throughout their tenure in the films, basically. He basically becomes the father figure of sorts. And then, of course, by the end of Volume 3, she took off with the big monster thing, right? She went to go, like...
That's right.
Be
the one that was,
Wrangler.
like, trapped on the...
Yeah. So she took off, and that was kind of her departure from Drax, because they were kind of, like, severing the familial tie there. And so the new version of the team took to their adventures without pretty much any of the original OGs except for Rocket and Groot. And so the team we're left with at the end of Volume 3 is Groot, Rocket, Cosmo, Kraglin, Warlock, Phyla-Vell, and Blurp.
Blurp.
Yeah. Don't be rash.
Don't be rash.
I love it. But yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, her growth. She finally came into her own and found her individuality, which is a lot of growth for a character that's only in ultimately 4 and a half.
4 or
things.
5, yeah.
Yeah.
Specials, yeah.
Yeah. And so, of course, that brings us to Peter Quill, the one outstanding member of the Guardians of the Galaxy we did not talk about yet. In the comics, believe it or not, these two don't have nearly the same dynamic that they do in the MCU, simply due to the origin stories being vastly different. And aside eventually being teammates, they don't have distinct extreme significance in their shared comic lore. So they're very much teammates. That's it. They're just teammates. Whereas in the MCU, we have Peter Quill Star-Lord, portrayed by Chris Pratt, first seen in 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, last seen in Guardians Volume 3. Do you think he's coming back in Doomsday?
They said specifically.
Did they?
Well, not in Doomsday, but like...
Yeah.
That
was he in... He wasn't in the chairs, right?
No.
Yeah. Oh.
No, I don't know. I don't think so. No,
I don't
but
think he was.
They just says Star-Lord will return.
Star-Lord will return.
That's it.
Yeah, and so to not to double efforts from what's already been said, but Peter Quill and Mantis in the MCU had choice interactions along the way. Mantis even exposing Quill's feelings for Gamora in Volume 2, as Geoffrey has so displayed. You feel love for her.
No,
that entire scene is genius. I can't.
It's
get
so
over
good.
It. The lighting, the furniture colors, like the Rocket and Groot, like the entire thing is just marvelous.
Yeah.
And thanks to Ego, the two had more of a relevant bond in the holiday special, discovering the paternal ties, which made them half siblings. Despite the fact and the warm fuzzies of the holiday special, Quill ultimately decided to return to Earth by the end of Volume 3 to reconcile with his Earth family. Like, I don't even know if you call it reconcile. It's kind of like he was like, well, let me go see how Grandpa's doing. And he's in Missouri.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
He's in he's on Earth.
He was
Or,
on Earth.
Like the first time, well, not the first time, but like technically like on there.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, oh, well, this
Yeah.
is where I should be. This is home.
Yeah, it's
so,
home. Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he's up to. But yeah, as quickly as he and Mantis had discovered, like, oh, we're family.
relatives. We're
Yeah.
we're half siblings.
Yeah. So they spent the last edge of the holiday special, enjoying that moment, and it's carried over into volume 3. And yeah, you kind of get a little bit of it there as well, but it's really about each character individually finding their paths in that film, to which of course brings Quill back to Missouri and his grandpa. And so whether or not we'll see Mantis and Quill reunite remains a mystery, though it does seem unlikely. But lest we forget, like Geoffrey said, Star-Lord will return.
I think we're done seeing like that version of the Guardians.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
They're done. They have sunset.
Yeah.
I don't even think...
I love that.
I hate...
I love that.
And that's what makes Guardians 3 so good.
Yeah.
Which I think people don't see, is that they actually tightly concluded something, made sense, wasn't perfect in a happy way.
Yeah.
It was not that happy. Let's be honest.
And there's a new iteration of it, which is like what happens in the comics.
And it still goes on. They still keep going.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the rest of the MCU, to be perfectly honest, they're not good at that. But Gunn really tied it up for that team and was like, all right, everybody found their thing. They're off doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Also, here's the new team.
This is also just like the proper way of handling, a proper trilogy.
Yeah.
You get 3 movies and that's it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they were able to kind of close one book and then they're starting another.
Yeah. And as much as I love all those characters, love them. Even Rocket and Groot, I'm like, I don't even need to see them again. To be perfectly honest, I'm more happy not seeing them again because they can live in perpetuity in my brain. You know what I mean? This is the actual reason why the Tobey Maguire effect really annoys me. Because if they indeed bring this man back for Doomsday, they're gonna kill him.
I hope so.
And so that's what I do not want. I do not want them to be like, oh, like the fans are like, bring the Guardians back, and they bring in this new team again, and then the first thing they do is kill Rocket and Groot. Like, no, just let them live on. And I feel okay not seeing that version of the team anymore because it made sense for them to disassemble the way they did. And even members of the team, like, I don't feel the need to see Mantis and Drax and Nebula. I don't need to see them. I'm good.
Yeah.
They left everybody good.
Yeah.
So the fact that we might get Star-Lord back is like, cool. Don't need to, but cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't think we'll see Mantis again, and I don't. If we do, I don't think we're gonna see them interact anymore.
No.
Like, that's done. And so that brings us to love interests. Just wanted to give an honorable mention. I didn't mention this in our Silver Surfer episode, but an honorable mention for him nonetheless. Their interactions happen in volume 3 of his solo series when he was still mourning Shalabal, and he encountered Mantis in the cosmos, in the galaxy, and he happened upon her basically, and they became friends. And it's also incidentally around the time that we find out more about the Celestial Messiah, but it isn't a full-blown romance like the ones we're about to talk about. So of course, there is no MCU counterpart. We have not seen Nornrad just yet. And I don't think this is something that we're going to see in the MCU anyway. So
yeah, it's too much.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. But there are a few people in particular we're going to talk about for love interest. And the first one being, I don't know if you saw this coming, Vision.
Wow.
So this is something we haven't talked about this in Scarlet Witch or the Vision episodes, but this is yet another classic love triangle, as it were, involving Wanda, Vision, and Mantis. And so, although Mantis already felt for another Avenger at this time, she grew to admire other men on the team, ultimately and perhaps foolishly comparing Swordsman's valor and bravery to the others. So she kind of had this, she had this thing about her where she was so into Swordsman, right? He could do no wrong. He was strong. He was powerful. He was brave. But once she met the Avengers, she saw Thor. She was
Of course.
oh. And then she saw Captain America. Oh. And she would compare him to all of them, which, if you ever been in that situation, Geoffrey, doesn't feel so great.
Yeah, my ex did that.
Exactly. And that's why she danced, right? That's what we're saying here. That's what we're saying here.
I mean, it's like that scene in Infinity War.
Yes.
He's what was it? When they first meet, when Thor crashes on the Guardian ship.
I was actually I have that in my notes. His muscles are like Katari metal fibers.
Katari metal fibers.
And then Quill's like, what does he say?
He was like,
why are you touching his arm?
put his arm down.
Yeah, put the arm down. Yeah. It's exactly that scenario.
Yeah.
So Mantis wasn't exactly the innocent one in any of this. And so it wasn't until she crossed paths with Vision that there was a significant difference in her interests. Mantis herself finding what is described in the comics as, quote unquote, a pillar of stability, and yet a man unalterably in love with another. So she was basically like, ooh, all these men are so impressive. And then Vision came along, and for some reason, she was like, oh, he's the most interesting one. I like him best. Mm-hmm. But he was unattainable. And what does that do, Geoffrey? Makes her want him more.
Exactly.
Exactly. And it's that exact decision and unattainability that secured her life as something more meaningful, leading directly to her becoming this celestial Madonna, which we're gonna talk about. But anyway, Vision, portrayed by Paul Bettany, who first made his appearance in 2015's Age of Ultron, last seen in 2021's WandaVision and What If. So no MCU crossover as of yet, probably not going to happen. But
Doubt it.
They did fight together against Thanos, but that's spoken loosely.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's not much to that. And then, of course, there is one of two that are quite serious for Mantis. And then still to this day, I'm just like, who decided that?
Yeah.
Who decided Jacques Ducan was going to be Mantis?
I know. That's crazy. Like what a different...
Especially if you think of the MCU version.
Sure. They're like
oh.
They're two different worlds.
Different.
Yeah.
So different. And even in the comics, even with her being on Earth from the get-go...
Yeah.
Where they take her is so far removed from swordsman. You know what I mean? Like he's quite literally this somewhat Frenchman.
Frenchman, yes.
Who was a swordsman, and he used to trope around in circuses. You
yes.
know? Like, how does that? I just don't understand.
He's appealing.
I guess. But is he? She's comparing
It's a
him to
Mantis.
everybody else. Yeah, so Jacques Ducan. And so by now we've discussed him quite a bit, and especially when it comes to her lore. But in addition to all of that, there is also their son, sort of, Sequoia, or Koi. And we'll get to that in a moment. But Swordsman and Mantis first met in a Vietnamese bar where she not only worked as a bartender, but a sex worker as well.
Whoa.
I wish everybody could hear
the
sounds that Geoffrey's face doesn't make when he's leading up to the sound that comes
That's
out.
a little graphic, but
so
sure.
Again, Miss Saigon. They basically stole the story of Miss Saigon. So she was indeed a sex worker, and they met in a bar, and they kind of fell in love, sort of, I guess. And so Jacques was well on his way to seeking some form of redemption for himself when the two met. So this is post-Avengers. He's like, what is my life? I don't know what I'm doing. And somehow he ends up in Vietnam in this bar. And yeah, they fall for each other, ultimately leading to the crossover with the Avengers. And so although Mantis took a fancy to the likes of Vision, her heart still swayed in favor of Swordsman until his death. And sadly, he died even calling himself a failure, someone who doesn't count. So homie was pretty depressive. So that didn't help matters much at all. And so as he was dying, they had gone through all of that, and he still couldn't redeem his own self-worth. So he literally says, I'm a failure who doesn't count. And then he died in her arms at the end of this battle.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We're just like the biggest Avengers behind. That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that was it for him. And so he died. He died in the comics.
Wow.
But his story does not end there. However, first we must discuss the MCU version very shortly. Jacques Ducan, the swordsman, portrayed by Tony Dalton, who first made his appearance in the 2021 Hawkeye series, last seen in 2025's Daredevil Born Again Season 1. So that guy...
Crazy.
And Mantis? Interesting.
Who also dated Kate Bishop's mom.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's crazy. It's so out there. I mean, the 70s were trippy enough for comics, but man. And so where Swordsman's story ended, another began. And so that brings us to the Elder Kotati. Speaking of Kotati metal fibers.
Exactly.
So this one is interesting. First and foremost, the Elder Kotati is a tree. It's a tree. It's a tree that was planted by the Kotati for perhaps centuries in the very locality where the priests of Pama's temple was located. So when the Kree people fled to Earth to start a new civilization for themselves, they planted this sacred garden of trees, which were their elders from the home planet.
Okay.
This tree in particular, and I'm not talking Groot. I'm talking a literal tree.
Yeah.
Grew for centuries.
Okay.
And eventually grows to be the elder. Okay, it's so sacred. So Mantis is then told, this is the elder. You and the elder will have a child who will become the celestial Messiah, which makes you the celestial Madonna. And she's like, I'm sorry, that's a tree. We can't do that. I actually have the screenshot. And so she's immediately debating. She's like, this is insane. You are playing with some monstrous game with this one. She refers to herself in third person, by the way, in the comics. So she says Mantis or this one. She says this one. And so she says, she cannot marry a tree. And even if she could never become a Madonna because they could not have a child. And she's like literally pointing at this tree being like, what are you talking about?
A physical tree.
A physical tree. And so here is the tree. Woman, have you not seen that you are to marry that tree? And that's when she loses it. She loses it. And so earlier in the arc, so like I said, Swordsman's story ended, right? Quote unquote ended. Swordsman returns in something resembling an afterlife form. It's like, that's why he's colored as such. He's like green.
Got
greenish.
it, yeah.
So he's kind of like not an astral projection. That's another thing entirely. But imagine, if you will. And so he comes back after he died, and his true purpose being that he is now the vessel for the elder in this tree.
Oh my gosh.
So the elder is then to assume Swordsman's quote unquote body or human spirit so that Mantis can then mate with the elder Kotati, using Swordsman's likeness to guide the situation.
God.
So not only do Vision and Wanda get married in this same issue, which is giant-sized Avengers number 4.
Okay.
I have the screenshot cover for you. 68 big pages.
Oh my gosh.
For 50 cents. So Mantis and the Elder Kotati, who is in the swordsman body, also get married. It's a double marriage. So bizarre. I want to know what they were. Yeah.
And the tree.
And the tree is in
the vessel.
Swordsman. Yes. He's in Swordsman.
The tree is in the swordsman vessel.
Yes. With the intention of getting her pregnant. So she's the celestial Madonna.
Sure.
And so the two couples get married, and the rest of the team is attempting to understand what the hell is happening, because amidst all this, Kang the Conqueror is also jumping around and trying to get his mitts in the pot.
Of course.
And we're going to talk about Kang in just a moment. But after all is said and done, Mantis understands the history and the reasoning for all that is to come, and she's ready to mate with the plant. And so she happily goes, you know what? I understand. And she's like, cool.
Dude, this might be my next video. I swear to God.
Right. And then what they say is, and the child came, and the child has grown strong on the soil of his mother's earth. Jeff is like, nah. I know. It's so weird. I don't understand.
I can't wait to do a video on this.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do a video on it.
So, bada bing, bada boom. It isn't until 12 years later in publication
A tree.
that we catch wind of happened thereafter. Yeah. She mated with a tree, an alien tree that was not of Planet X where Groot is from. Completely different planet.
It's a tree.
It is a tree.
A stump.
Yes.
A trunk.
Because the lore of that particular race, the Katati, is that their people were like once like human-like.
Okay.
But then they were so imbued with wisdom and rooted in their like beliefs that they became plants.
A tree?
A tree. Yeah. And actually, I didn't mention this in her appearance, but Mantis was flesh-colored before, right? She was of American Vietnamese descent, right? Later in the comics, she turns green because of the plant.
The tree.
Yes, because of the tree. And that's why her powers also involved the plant thing. What did I say?
God, yeah.
She also has plant manipulation.
Wow.
She full on merged with the tree.
Wow.
Tree.
A tree.
Makes all the tree jokes funnier in the Guardians of the Galaxy when you think about it. Yeah.
A tree.
A tree. And so Elder Katati we do not have in the MCU. And despite 2 mentions of the Katati, there have been 2 mentions of the Katati in MCU. We have not actually seen the Katati themselves, but never say never. And so, yes, that's when I quoted what Gamora said when the Guardians first happened upon Thor in Infinity War, and she's skimming his arm very sensually.
Yes.
And she says, it's like his muscles are made of Katati metal fibers.
Wow.
Which is definitively, and it has been confirmed that that's really just a throwaway Easter egg, because the Katati are, again, plant people. There's no metal. They don't have
Got
metal
it.
stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just, a tree. A tree.
A tree.
A tree! Yeah, we're going to talk about this a little bit more in this last portion of our show, but it is such a departure of her being from a bug planet and just being abducted by Ego. Yeah. And so, as I previously mentioned,
Oh my God.
that brings us to notable adversaries, and first and foremost, Kang the Conqueror. So believe it or not, Kang is somewhat of a love interest, though not by her choice. It is a one-sided ordeal. It's not even a love interest.
It sounds abusive.
It is. That's exactly what it is. And so Kang played a rather large role in the Celestial Madonna storyline, which can be summed up in a single panel. And so it's Kang. Again, I don't know if you recall what he looks like, Jeff, but in the comics, I mean, it is pretty freaking accurate, all things considered.
Blue guy, right?
Blue face, purple, green.
Heard.
He has captured 3 women, okay? Scarlet Witch, Mantis, and Agatha. And the star over the Avengers Mansion told him, it foretold that the Celestial Madonna is occupying this space.
Yeah.
He didn't know who it was. And so, because of the exact location of where it appeared, he says she is one of these 3, though she herself is unaware of the fact. Her destiny is to marry the most powerful man on earth, that she may bear the one, and that man will be me. I propose to conquer your planet, take the Madonna, and through our son rule the heavens. So that's all he wanted. He was like, I'm the most powerful man.
Obviously.
Exactly. In true Kang form.
Obviously.
In true Kang form. And then he wanted to impregnate the Madonna, bear the son Messiah, and then be the god that he considered himself to be. It's back to that prophecy that originated with the priests of Pama, now bleeding into the larger predicament involving Kang, and even a couple of his variants, Immortus and Rama Tut. They're all in this storyline. It's crazy. It's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much real estate in this arc. I was just like, make it make sense. And then back to your point, a tree. A tree is at the heart of this all. And so Kang simply wanted to solidify his presence among the beings like the Celestials in the cosmic history. And his failure would then lead to the subsequent attacks and abductions of Mantis thereafter. So he quite literally kidnapped her and was like, we're going to go make the baby. And and it is just abusive. Like you said.
100%.
He failed, of course, because the Avengers are the Avengers.
Yes.
But it didn't stop him from coming back after to try and get her. And so in the MCU, of course, we already have Kang the Conqueror, portrayed by Jonathan Majors, first seen in 2021's Loki, Season 1, last seen in 2023's Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. No MCU crossover.
Yeah.
It ain't happening. It definitely ain't happening. For a few reasons, unfortunately and thankfully, but it ain't happening. Which brings us to a more familiar adversary for those of you who are more familiar with the MCU, Ego the Living Planet. And in the comics, there is little to no crossover whatsoever.
Wow.
He is just living planet. He is quite literally...
He's always just like...
planet
he
with a
stays
face.
the planet, right?
Yeah, he doesn't change his form in the comic.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. Again, the 70s are weird. They were weird. I mean, I don't know the exact first appearance date for Ego, but 70s are a weird time.
What a sad life.
It's so interesting.
He's just floating.
He's just floating, yeah. I remember being a little child and looking at my 1992 cards, and an Ego has a card, and I just stare at it, and I'm just like, what does he do all day? It's his little planet, and he's got the schnoz. Like, he has a face. Yeah, nothing. They have no crossover in the comics, at least not significantly. Whereas in the MCU, as we've talked about here and there, portrayed by Kurt Russell, first and last seen alongside Mantis in 2017's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, as well as What If. And so, Ego initially played the part of the peaceful yet powerful adventurer journeying across the cosmos when he first appeared in Volume 2, later seen accompanying a very shy and demure Mantis aboard his ship that looked like a hard-boiled egg.
Yes.
And like all great villains, however, it's later revealed that Ego is just that, a self-obsessed entity who's embarked on a mission to overtake the cosmos, blanketing planets and galaxies alike in himself.
Gross.
And it's in Volume 2 that we got the first Easter egg of the potential familial ties with Peter Quill and Mantis. And so again, it's that gallery scene when Ego tells Quill about his journeys and ultimately mating with different species to further his cause. And you can see Ego making out with what appears to be one of Mantis' species. Yeah. And so I remember when people first started talking about this, I was so distraught because I was like, oh my God, are they related? And I was like, they won't do that. And then they did. I was like, damn. And then for the record, here is the picture of Jennifer Sharp as Mantis' mom. Wow. So they cut the scene. Yeah. They ultimately cut the scene from the film. And so, very interesting stuff. Gunn left the Easter egg in for eagle-eyed fans who would later cash in with the holiday special that further confirmed Mantis and Quill were indeed half siblings. And so it took the entire team to outsmart and take down Ego, however, not without its cost. AKA Yondu's sacrifice. What does he say? I ain't your father, boy, but I ain't. What does it say? He may be your father, boy, but he ain't your daddy. I can't believe I'm not remembering these lines, but I have not watched them in quite a while. But man, Guardians they're so good. So good. So good. And so, yeah, Mantis joined the team by the end of the film, and we know where she went from there. Great story. I mean, James Gunn is still, he's always going to be one of my favorites for what he did with them. Yes. And so for other versions and in other media, fun fact for you, Jeff, in the House of M reality, Mantis is a member of Shang-Chi's Dragons criminal organization. Wow. Alongside swordsman Zaran and Machete.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's a bad girl in House of M. And as we know, House of M kind of turned everything upside down. I hope we get to talk about it a bit more. I had mentioned before that I wanted to revisit like the first 10 episodes we did. I would like to go back to Scarlet Witch and actually talk about this because we didn't really do that much. We had Steven on as our third mic.
Yeah.
So we kind of got lost in the sauce a bit. But man. And hopefully we get to do an MCU version too.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. I know our boy wants it. So for video games, Mantis actually has quite a presence in video games, and that's why we're talking about her now. So there are 15 known variants of Mantis in the comics, 2 in animation, and 17 in video games.
Wow.
But the one to discuss by far is the one from Marvel Rivals, and Mantis is heralded as one of the main strategist healer types of the game, ranking just below the likes of Sue Storm and Luna Snow. Sorry, Sue Richards and Luna Snow.
That's right.
Yeah, she says it in the game. I was like, oh, whoa, my bad. Sue Richards. And so she is voiced. This is so funny because this bothered me for the longest time. I was like, I know this name.
Yes.
I know this voice. And so in Marvel Rivals, she's voiced by none other than Colleen O'Shaughnessy, whose work you're probably familiar with, even if you don't realize it. Colleen is the voice of Miles, Tails Prower. Yes, Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog. And I tried to get her to do an intro, but she's a little busy.
Of course.
It's like, oh my God, we're indestructible. I was like, oh my God,
indestructible.
It's Tails. It's Tails. I like her voice as Tails more. Tails is like such a great voice. I love it.
She does it great.
Yeah, but it kind of explains why her voice is a little schizophrenic in the game. Because like when she does the ult, she has this really high-pitched voice. But in dialogue, she's a bit calmer. And she's more like the Colleen voice that we're familiar with.
Yes.
And so her lore in the game intertwines with that of Psylocke and Jeff being held captive among the collector's prized possessions. But as we mentioned in a previous episode, she and the Guardians all come from the same universe. But she was collected by the collector and she broke out with Jeff and Psylocke. So that brings us to Almost Was. I found nothing. Which is not too surprising when it comes to James Gunn projects. And so Gunn himself is pretty well known for casting people he admires as well as his friends, and it seems like the former was why he chose Palm for this role.
Did he work with her on a previous project?
I don't believe
I think
so.
it was just like found her in
he
casting.
Found her and he was like, I'm a fan of this actress.
Yes.
And decided to bring her in. Because I remember very distinctly, and you can find this video online, the two of them were the only two that appeared for the Guardians premiere at El Capitan. So I went to that. So I was there for that. And he brought her out and he kept talking her up. He said, I've never worked with anyone that is as perfect as Palm behind the camera and brought their character to life. And she was so she was so sweet because, you know, she hadn't debuted yet. Nobody knew who she was.
Yeah.
As the character, nobody was familiar with Mantis at that time and what role she would be playing in the film. But yeah, she played it off perfectly well. She lived up to everything that he said of her.
She's great.
Yeah, she's fantastic. But yeah, no other actresses, found nothing about auditions. I think he knew who he wanted, brought her in for the test, and then she got it. So the future of the character in the MCU, what do we think, Jeff?
I think
is she done?
I think she's done.
I think she's done. Yeah.
No, yeah.
I don't think I don't even think she'll come back for a cameo. I think she's done.
I mean, that was like the last part of the trilogy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so for suggested reading, I mean, easily said classic Avengers. Once again, like you get a lot about this character from the get-go, all the way through her tenure in that team setup, as well as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, so that's 2008 upward, because of the relevance that was coming from the film and eventually that came after the film. You see a lot more Mantis come back into the fray, more of her alien-like form. And then there's also the Annihilation Conquest storyline, which is fantastic, which leads into the Empire storyline. And particularly the Celestial Messiah one-shot, where she's featured with her son, Sequoia, or Koi, and you get to know a little bit more about her and him, their dynamic, and more of the history. So it's a lot. You get a lot in one issue. And so, all that said, that is the end of the show. Thanks for listening, guys. Next episode, we're going to take it a little bit back to last year, and we're going to talk about a big one. Kind of. I mean, he's pretty powerful, all things considered. But join us as we talk about Sentry.
I can't wait to hear his powers and paraphernalia.
Oh, Jeff, you're going to lose your mind.
I just know it's going to piss me off.
I'm just going to go everything.
It's going to piss me off. End the episode right there.
I'm just going to explode. So join us in a couple of weeks where we will talk about Robert Reynolds, a.k.a. Sentry, a.k.a. Bob. And a thank you to all of our Patreon supporters, as well as a special Groot salute to Nats, Joe Liz, Chris, Andrew, Melanie, Andrea, Sherry, Robin, Katie, Ed, Laura, Ashley, Jenny, and Tyler. Woo! So follow us on social at STRKCNTRST. If you experienced ads during this episode, you can unlock an ad-free version of the podcast by supporting us on Patreon. And if you like what you hear, for the love of God, review, rate, and subscribe.
Once again, thanks for listening. We will catch y'all in the next one.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
It's not my fault I don't know something if no one ever tells me. I didn't even want to come here.
I'm gonna need to see your...
You're hopelessly in love with him.
Oh,